Welcome to your source of comic book news and culture. This is Variant Edition.
Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Mike.
And every week, Variant Edition brings you the best that comics has to offer. It's a half hour full of news, reviews, interviews, and, well, basically anything we think is comic related.
And this week, we're packed to the brim with reviews.
That's right. I think we've got so many reviews that we may not even be able to put them in one show.
Yeah, kind of makes you wonder which one Kevin may cut. I hope it's not my in-depth multiple-issue review of Black Panther.
Yeah, you did put quite a lot of research into that one, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. You see, I have detailed graphics, too. I've collected all the evidence that goes to show that Black Panther is responsible for Captain America's death, because it was his fault that Capside lost the Civil War.
I thought Joss Whedon lost the Civil War.
No,
and that Ed
dude,
Brubaker
this
killed
is so
Cap.
typical of you, dude. You believe all the hype. You gotta dig beneath the surface. You gotta trust no one.
Yeah, I'm sure Kevin's gonna run that one.
Well, if he doesn't, then we'll know whose side he's on. Don't be a puppet, Kevin. You gotta show them the truth. It's gotta get out there. And
Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah, we have got a show full of reviews for you, and I have a feeling it will be minus one Black Panther expose.
You can't silence the truth!
Yeah, it's gonna be a good show, so let's get with it.
Alright guys, first review of the week right here, Infinity Inc. issue 2. Now, this is one of the spin-off books from 52. It's dealing with the aftermath of what happened in 52 in the Everyman Project. You got John Henry Irons, Steel, as we all know him, investigating what happened to these kids after, Luthor turned off their powers. If you read that issue 52, saw a massive amount of people die, and it was just anarchy and carnage everywhere. It was really crazy. So this book is picking up, the pieces of where that left off. So a lot of the kids either, obviously got their powers turned off, were they powered, or really did they? In this second issue, we pick up Natasha's disappeared. She turned into this weird vapor kind of a, form, and just disappeared right in front of John Henry Irons, and it was really weird. And some of these kids are either manifesting new powers, which are really cool, which you see the one kid who's very envious of himself. He has a duplicate counterpart. I don't know if he could duplicate himself like Madrox from X Factor, but we'll have yet to see where that goes. Or if it's just like, just based on his, impulsiveness for himself. Or some of these powers are really bad. There's another kid in this book who actually drains what looks like to be, the life force or, the soul out of people in order to maintain, his own well-being. So, or there's the really bad side effects where everybody's, just feeling immense pain. They're going through depression. It's weird. It's almost like a real life diagnosis of when, an actual superhero loses their power. What do they go through, So the book is really good. It's got some solid art. It's all right. And you got Peter Milligan writing. For those who don't know, Peter Milligan wrote that X-Men Apocalypse 4 Horsemen storyline not too long ago when Gambit betrayed the team. So that's a good writing right there, combination. So the book is really good. I can't wait to see where it goes. It's an interesting aspect of the team and, what happens after 52 and what happens when you're at the top of the world, when you're a celebrity and you're a superhero, and it just gets turned off just like that. It's a very real-life scenario, and I like that. It's a really interesting tone of the book. So I'm looking forward to the next issue, and I hope this series, keeps on going for as long as it can.
Fantastic Four, the initiative, number 550. What happens when a story is going so off-kilter in the Marvel Universe that it doesn't make much sense until you get towards the end of the story arc? Doctor Strange is involved, of course, because that's what he does. He throws everything just on its ass and makes you have to relook at everything that happened in the story, and then it all makes sense. And that's what happened here. Turns out that the universe got an infection. Yes. And they have to perform surgery, which is where Doctor Strange comes in with his surgical skills, because it's got an infection. So I got to cut out the infection, and then these purple things won't kill us anymore. Well, how do you perform, surgery on the universe? You get gravity. That's what you do. You go out and you get that guy who has control over gravity, and then he works as your scalpel, while everybody else is fighting off these purple things, and Storm is kind of housing the universe temporarily. I'm confused too, but it's alright because it's Doctor Strange. The book kind of makes sense at this point. If you read the last story arc, this is the one that makes the whole story worthwhile. It explains everything, and it wrapped up nicely into a tight little package. Also, Black Panther and Storm are leaving the Fantastic Four. Not going to tell you why. Go out and read the book.
Alright, awesome. Action Comics 856 just came out. Such a great read. 855 was amazing. It's got Eric Powell doing the art for a Bizarro story of Superman, which I think is like, peanut butter and chocolate just goes so well together. 856 does not disappoint. It actually lived even surpassed my expectations. I was kind of joking in my review last time. I was like, oh, it ends the issue with, next issue, Bizarro Doomsday. I figured, okay, he's trying to destroy Bizarro World, so maybe it's like the Doomsday for that planet. No! What I said, kind of jokingly, was there's a Bizarro form of Doomsday. And he's in it. And it's great. And it's all this crap with mainly Bizarro just being a little emo bitch. Like, I want to make my own world, and with this blue sun, I have these powers to make a Bizarro Lois Lane, who I can say goodbye to when she appears, because I'm Bizarro. It makes all those little zombie people on Bizarro World. That's pretty much the power that he gets from the blue sun. Superman, I don't know if he's going to start making people. But anyway. So it's more Bizarro being like, I hate myself kind of thing. I screw up. I need to build up all this stuff so that I can destroy it, so I can be just like Superman, and we can both be alone. All this other stuff. Best thing about it, though, Superman beating the crap out of more zombies, and Bizarro Doomsday is just so nice. And the end of this issue so picks it up for like, oh wow, he's so taking that turn to a Superman story. And Eric Powell's designs for the characters that they introduce at the end of this book, so great. If you don't laugh at them, if you don't understand like why he's doing it certain ways, then you're just losing the joke. But 856 of Action Comics with Eric Powell doing Bizarro artwork, amazing stuff, definitely pick it up. Superman fan or otherwise. I mean, me, not normally a Superman fan, I know like the background and the mythos of him, but this story is just ridiculously great. The artwork's amazing. There's no reason why I shouldn't pick it up.
World War Hulk number 14. Psych! It's Heroes for Hire number 14 from the World War Hulk series. What we've got here is a team of anti-heroes, and I understand why a lot of people are now reading this book. I haven't picked up this book since, I don't know, months ago. But I picked it up today just to be like, oh, I wonder what all the hubbub is about. So I read the book, and I enjoyed it. It's heroes that aren't really heroes. They're getting paid for their job, but they still have loyalties to the people within their little team that they've assembled. And I remember that guy who I made fun of way back when. His name was Humbug. Yeah, he actually plays a really big part in this because of the Brood character and Meek that was on the Warbound for World War Hulk. If you don't know what I'm talking about, where have you been for the last couple months? All right, that aside, what you've got is there's two characters from the Heroes for Hire that are underground in these catacombs, and they have to be rescued, and there are these maggots that feed on pain. So they want to eat these people because they want food, I think. And he's torturing them to death because they killed a hiveling, evidently. This is what happens when I don't read a book for a little while and I find out all this information at one time. I'm kind of lost and confused, as you can clearly tell. If you have any information for this story, please email me at mike@variantedition.com. If you don't, well, then I'm on my own and I'm going to have to go back and read a bunch of back issues. I hope I don't have to do that, though. Please contact me immediately. But yeah, you've got a mercenary who kind of betrays the team, and then you find out he didn't really betray the team, but then he betrays the team after he doesn't betray the team, and he's really working for himself, and he steals a tank, and they punch out this girl named Scorpion. It's really crazy. It's a great book, interesting characters, and I'm probably going to read it from here on out.
All right, guys, next review of the week, Wolverine issue 58. Mark Guggenheim taking old writing duties again. You saw him in Civil War. It was a pretty decent story arc. Now you got the death of Logan, which is a very interesting concept, interesting storyline so far. Last issue we saw Logan's head got blown off, which isn't that much of a problem because, the healing factor kind of takes care of that. Or does it really do that? This issue we see that Doctor Strange comes to Tony's complex because Iron Man picked up, Logan and his remains on the side of the blast, and they're diagnosing him. So he's technically brain dead right now, which, it's a pretty common thing. It happens. People snap out of it or they don't. But Doctor Strange comes in, and his diagnosis is Wolverine is soulless, as in his soul is gone right now. He's in purgatory, or in some kind of purgatory. Well, of course, Wolverine's purgatory, being the Canadian he is, and the rough guy he is, it's a bar, of course. So he's sitting there at the bar, taking shots in his astonishing costume, and he's just drinking away like it's, just another day, trying to get drunk, even though because his healing factor won't let him get drunk. So Doctor Strange approaches him in his weird, not astral form, but another spell he puts on to, penetrate purgatory, because, he can do that, Sorcerer Supreme. So he's there, he's trying to explain to Logan what's happening, what's going on, and not to give too much of the book away, because the book is taking an interesting turn. Let's just say this book has a very, very biblical proportions about it. It's very epic, it's very big. It teeters on the, religious line and what people believe in. Like, if you're kind of religious or if you're not, this has an interesting take on what's going on with Wolverine right now in his life. So other than that, Howard's shaking on art. He's got that rough penciling style. It's very, kind of like a square head stick figure-ish. I kind of like it. it takes some getting used to, but it's cool. And Guggenheim's writing could be, on and off for me. Like the whole Vendetta arc was just reiterating what the previous issue said, then writing some more. This is a little bit different. He's just straight on into the story, so I like that better. So it's interesting, the theme, like I said, biblical proportions. Got a lot of, borderline religious stuff in there, but, I want to see where the story arc goes, and I'm really confused, though, because I don't know where they're going to place this in continuity, because you got Wolverine on Astonishing X-Men, then you got him in his other 2 books, and it's just really confusing with the timing. So let's just hope this all makes sense towards the end of the arc, and let's just see where it goes.
New Warriors number 5. This is a book that I've grown to appreciate because I didn't like the old New Warriors, but this New Warriors is a team that I kind of like. The artwork is really crisp and clean, and I really feel that when you're doing a book like this that has a lot of different people with powers and going on, which is a lot of Marvel books, but hear me out here. I got a theory. If you can pull off the effects from the blasts and the lasers and the sonic screams and like the flight whooshes and like everything else, your book's going to sell because of the artwork. And I think that's what's really keeping me glued to this magazine right now, because it's really reminding me of the old New X-Men, not the old New X-Men, but New X-Men. Well, the older New X-Men, I should say, not to be confused with the old New Warriors. I digress here. What we got is the team is still going up against the Zodiac from the previous issue, obviously, and Stilt Girl is in fact really dead, and the team kind of freaks out and kind of goes like, oh, what are we going to do? Let's stop and rethink this. And then Sophia, the diner waitress, is like, no, I'm going to get out there and kick some ass without any sort of enhancements whatsoever, and she does so, but then she ends up in ICU. Big thing happens at the end of this book that may compromise the entire team. You're going to have to read the book to find out what I'm talking about. It's a good book. I recommend it and would pick it up if I was you.
All right, Lobster Johnson and the Iron Prometheus issue number 2 came out. Awesome read. Like I said in my review of issue 1, don't know much about Lobster Johnson, but it doesn't mean you can't enjoy the hell out of this comic. I'm enjoying every page of it. Such a nice noir action hero, not even superhero, just like a badass guy, except he's got that burning claw thing, which I've still yet to discover. But anyway, goes into Lobster Johnson and the guy who had the professor's like big Iron Man kind of suit thing, trying to go rescue the professor and his daughter from these Nazis, because, Nazis are always up to no good, and it's Mignola. You gotta have Nazis. Anyway, so they go into this place, and it's hell, because they go in, and as Lobster Johnson says, it's a house full of cowards, assassins, eager to taste justice. If that just doesn't make you stop and just laugh and enjoy the fact that this guy, just all in black with a big blue lobster claw on him, just said that, I don't know what's wrong with you. So anyway, they go off, Lobster Johnson beats some assassins, and the guy just goes AWOL with his suit. It has like this big power explosion, turns everybody into skeletons. Insane. But there was a trap set up, and yada yada yada. He gets captured, and Lobster Johnson apparently runs into an old enemy of his. Not knowing Lobster Johnson, not familiar with this character, but he's a Nazi now, ran into Lobster in the past, and he's got this big brute guy with a really big metal, like, robot lobster claw, and a smaller robot lobster claw. And he's beating the crap out of him. There's a nice slugfest going on in this issue. Great stuff. If you haven't checked out the first one, I advise highly that you do. Definitely read the second one to, complete the story. And I'm going to be finishing this to the end because it's a nice noir Dick Tracy kind of feel, mystery, like, ooh, spooky, creepy, but awesome, tough, bad, Lobster Johnson kicking assassins who want to taste justice and all this crap. It's great. Campy dialogue, insane plots, but just a really good story, really great characters, and I'm so looking forward to where it's going. And another thing, if all that stuff that I just said before doesn't appeal to you, there's giant snakes in this. That doesn't appeal to you, I don't know what will. But giant snakes and all this other stuff, great stuff.
All right, guys, last review of the week right here, Nova issue 7. Very sad to say this is Sean Chen's last issue, as he's going to DC to do that weird project where all the villains are running away. I forgot what the title is called. But this is Sean Chen's last issue. Hate to see him go. One of my favorite artists. So this leaves a big challenge to whoever's going to step in and draw this book, because this book's a pretty big deal to me right now, along with the writing and stuff. So this issue picks up. You read last issue, kind of a big ending, and it's looking pretty grim for Nova, as he's very content and happy with his life as a selective part of the Phalanx. So he's just going on and on, hanging out with Gamora, which is kind of cool and weird, because, she's hot, but she's green. And then, like, her eyes are, like, look like the television screen when, it goes all blurry and gets static. So I don't know. So he's happy with that right now, but then he's like got this little remnants in his mind that's just telling him to scream out and just, fight the Phalanx, that he just doesn't need to happen. He's the last part of the Nova Corps. He needs to, get his act together and, help save the universe from this. So you see that theme being played on for the rest of the book. There's like, little voices of, bubble boxes in the pages and in the panel next to it too. So blah, blah, he gets into this weird state of mind where he passes out. And, of course, he faces himself as the way he used to look before the Annihilation, the original Annihilation. So his old costume, whatever. So he's talking to himself. He's like, you got to snap out of this. There's like 17% of yourself. It's taken 83% of the World Mind Program to fight this virus right now. So you're hanging on by like this much. And right now you only have enough juice to break free of this and literally just fly away. Just no fighting, just fly away. So he breaks out of it with the help of, obviously, himself, and World Mind, escapes. And he has to somehow, in his own really interesting way, create his own like cosmic wormhole. So he goes outside, he escapes, he's outside, and like there's this weird debris and like meteor shower going on, whatever, a galactic storm if you must. And so the World Mind's explaining to him, he's like, you got to go through this. He's like, this is our only way out. If not, we're gonna die, and that's the end of Nova Corps. And so they break through it. Interestingly enough, Gamora follows him through along with Drax the Destroyer. And they just end up on separate, parts of the universe. Like, Nova's thrown to the other side of the universe, who's, like, uncalculated territory, even to, like, some of the Marvel characters. In the World Mind doesn't know where he's at. And Gamora and Drax are on the other side, beginning the hunt for him. So, all in all, that was, and that's the end of the Annihilation Conquest Times issue. That was, like, just a small arc right there. So, all in all, it was a fun story arc, and it got really scary for a while, because he didn't know if he was going to snap out of this or just, continue being evil, and that was going to be the tone of the book until someone came and snapped him out of it, or if something happened in the regular Annihilation book that's going to start pretty soon. So great book, great writing. I can't wait to see where the the storyline after takes place of this, because it's been pretty good so far. But great book. I highly recommend this. A lot of fun, and I just can't wait to see where this goes.
The New Avengers Transformers number 404. This is a review that happens when I read the first one and don't read 2 or 3 and then come back for part 4. Apparently, Megatron took Spider-Man's radioactive blood, injected it into himself somehow, which I lost because he's a machine. What does he need blood for? I digress. So Megatron goes out there and starts kicking some serious ass, and then 2 of the Autobots go to get Spider-Man's blood, and Spider-Man's really weak, so Wolverine's like, do it for me, because I got the healing factor too. And then they go outside and they stomp down Megatron, and then everybody runs away. I don't know why machines need blood. I thought they used oil. I might be wrong. Maybe there was some sort of weird synthesis thing going on there. Whatever. I don't know. But I'm assuming it was a decent read. I can't really speak too much about the whole series as a whole, but usually I would just like to say you don't mix 2 things that don't mash, and New Avengers and Transformers is one of those things where they're both really good on their own. I wouldn't want to see them together again, ever. However, it appears that the Quinjet has a new trick up its sleeve, so we might see a part 2 to this series. I'm not looking forward to it, but I'll read it anyway.
So does anybody out there remember that little comic called Dark Horse Presents, which was a really nice compilation of, like, upcoming things or, like, side stories of existing stories that Dark Horse had the rights to? And they were really nice little, comics jam-packed with, like, different characters and stories. Well, now Dark Horse Presents has a MySpace page, which is pretty much just that comic in an online form. Kevin informed me about this, and of course you gotta go check it out, because, it's Dark Horse Presents. It's great stuff. And the main thing I checked out about it was they had a new Fear Agent story. Kind of bad. Not even going to go into that. It's, once again, another story that's offset from everything else, has a ludicrous idea, and an even more ludicrous ending, which I hope doesn't play into The Last Goodbye, because if it does, I might have to stop reading it, because you got to stop messing with time travel. But that's beyond the point. It was a one-shot little comic. That's about it. The main thing I want to talk about, though, is Dark Horse Presents online as opposed to in comic book form. My opinion, I'm kind of against it. I mean, it was nice. Their webpage was set up well. It uploaded fast, yada, 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 all that convenience of sitting on your ass in front of your computer reading a comic. Yeah, it's great. My 3 things with this is, 1, you don't get the nice covers that Dark Horse Presents had. One of the best things about Dark Horse Presents was you had, like, a nice potpourri of different characters and images and, like, stuff that normally wouldn't be on the same page together, nonetheless in the same comic together, on a cover, which was really cool. And for the collector side and like an art appreciation side, seeing those covers really made it special. 2, maybe it was my computer, I don't know, but the way that I had to read it starts you off at the top, you read down, okay, go to the next page, click the bottom, and it starts you at the bottom of the next page. So all the previous boxes up there you missed, and it kind of gives away what was going to happen before you even read to it. Like I said, maybe it was my computer, but that really kind of pissed me off. It's like, oh man, someone just died, but what happened? It's kind of iffy. Third thing about that, about, Dark Horse Presents being online, is they have, like, different stories, and normally when you got, like, a Dark Horse Presents comic, you read the whole thing. Whether or not you were like, oh, look at this crap, I know this character. No, you just read it because you bought the comic, you want to get your money's worth, so you read the whole thing. In this, you can pick and choose. So it's like, oh, I just read the Fear Agent one because I see, like, some monkey doing whatever. Didn't get to them yet, but they're just other side stories, odd characters that you're not normally used to that you wouldn't read unless you had bought the comic. So if they really want more people to read it, they should throw it into something that you had to buy and hold and be like, okay, if I want my money's worth of this, I'm going to read all 4, 5, 6 of these stories, whatever, despite, what I know about these characters. Even if I'm going to like it, I'm just going to read it and know that. On the computer, it's kind of like, I'm not even going to bother. And you might lose sales with that. I mean, there could be something there that me or anybody else would have liked had they have read it, but they had the choice not to, and when you're on the computer, it's just so easy to be lazy. And that's the big thing for me. So, Dark Horse Presents, I prefer it in comic form, but definitely check it out on MySpace. It's myspace.com/Dark Horse Presents. Really nice setup. Very easy to read, except, hopefully your computer monitor is bigger than mine so that you don't, get to stuff before we even get a chance to read to it. But yeah, that's it. And Dark Horse Presents, stay in paper and ink.
X Factor number 24, another book that I love as far as mutants go. But what we got is there's still a fight going on between Mr. Huber and Richter, whose wall just got blown up, and you've got Guido and Ron and Jamie, the Multiple Man. Maddox is all they're trapped in the coldness of just frozen tundra wasteland, and he kind of uses his dupes to make himself a little human igloo, if you will, to hold in that heat and try not to freeze to death, even though that's failing by the middle of this issue. But it's fun. And back to Huber and Richter there. Huber is fighting Richter, and he's giving his all out with his mutant powers, trying to kill Richter. And for some reason, he can't. Gee, I wonder why. Are you curious? You can go back and read and find out if you want to, because I'm not going to explain it to you right now. But you need to know that this was a good book. Layla Miller is not dead. She still knows stuff, and the girl who went after her is strange. And that's all I'm going to give you on that either. But yeah, you got to pick up this book because I like it, and I'm not going to tell you why to pick it up anymore. You're just going to have to go out and trust me on this one and pick up X Factor if you haven't done so already. It's got great artwork. Cover artwork is nice. The interiors are nicely done. The story progresses very smoothly. I love this book, and I hope you guys will learn to love it too.
Alright guys, here's your bullet punch for this week. Starting with Ghost Rider, issue 16. Lucifer cuts a deal with Johnny Blaze, a deal that only will certify his loss in Johnny's struggle against him. I don't get it. And what do these two angels have to do with the storyline? You just got to keep reading to see what happens. Next book, Punisher War Journal 12, a World War Hulk tie-in issue. Frank returns to New York after his little stint down south, only to see that New York has been torn apart by the Hulk's destruction and, the whole World War Hulk thing going on. So he has to assume the title of quote-unquote, urban hero and help some people out. But I'm looking forward to the next story arc. Next book, X-Men Die with the Sword issue 1. A crossover between Excalibur and the Exiles that looks to be a time-traveling, universe-spanning doozy. And is Captain Britain really dead? Just got to keep reading to find out. Finally, Frontline, issue 5. Ben gets caught in a riot, Sally gets mugged and saved by you wouldn't believe who. And finally, the droid murder mystery is finally solved, and you wouldn't believe who the killer is. And that's your bullet punch for this week, guys. See you next time.
All right, that's it for Variant Edition.
Yeah, we'll have more Baltimore Comic-Con footage next week. We've still got a ton of interviews that we haven't aired yet.
Just like my Black Panther. Anyway, speaking of which, we tend to ramble on a bit when we talk to creators, and since we can only fit so much into regular episodes, we have to cut interviews down for time, just like Kevin cuts down reviews for time.
Yeah, hold that grudge. But if you want the uncut versions of the interviews, look no further than variantedition.com. We'll be posting the full uncut versions of any interview we conduct only on the website.
Uncut versions, not like my reviews. Think you can get those through iTunes, VO, or some other video websites out there? Nope. Only on VariantEdition.com.
Yeah, and speaking of the website, we're in the process of redesigning it. For a sneak peek of some of the new features, check out Chris's The 5 and Lewis's Top 10. We've got more cool stuff planned, so consider this a taste of what's to come.
And don't forget to let us know what you think of the columns. We're looking for your input.
Yep, and while we're promoting ourselves, Variant Edition The Discussion is returning very soon. Our next discussion? Are comics too expensive? Check out our forums in the next few days for some inside info from the shoot.
Remember, there are quite a few ways to watch us. You can get us on iTunes, VO, YouTube, and Google Video, or get a sweet high-res feed from Blip TV. Or, if you want the easiest way, head over to VariantEdition.com and watch us on our page.
Yep, and we just got a batch of sweet new Variant Edition t-shirts. Would you like one? Check out the Sponsor Us link at VariantEdition.com. You can score yourself one of those sweet, sweet rags.
That's it for Variant Edition. See you next time.
I call them sweet rags.
Rags? That is so gross. Done in one.
Yay!
It's campfire.